All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's now 1:30, and I'd like to call the board special meeting of the Greater Alexandria Economic Development Authority. It's Thursday, April 25th, like I said, 1:30 with Bentley Hotel site, Robert. The meeting is now calling to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Elkins.
Here.
Dr. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Katz. Here. Mr. Carroll.
Here.
Mr. Patel.
Here.
Mr. Morgan.
Here.
Howell.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Before we get started, can we have Pastor Green say a prayer for us today?
God and Father, we come in before you as humble as we know how. God, we ask that you touch every mind and every heart. But Father, you are God of just, you're God of not confusion, but peace. Father, thank you for our city. Thank you for our elected officials. Thank you for every voice, every mind that is present on this day. Father, you take control of our mind and this meeting. And we know all things will be done according to your word, your will, and your way. In thy Son, Jesus' name, for his sake, we pray. Amen.
Thanks.
Thank you, Pastor. All right, thank you, everyone, for coming to this special meeting. We're going to come to a special meeting since they're on the phone. We generally have three items on the agenda today. One is an action item where we'll discuss and then take a vote on it. The other was just a discussion item. There's no action taken. We're just going to discuss what get a sense of the commission. And the last, if the commission wants to, we'll go into executive session and discuss the lawsuit. So the first active item, and the only active item, there's a consideration to terminate the general counsel engagement agreement with law officer 15 Sanders. Is there a motion to terminate the November 21, 2023 General Counsel Engagement Agreement with the Law Office of Tiffany and Sanders effective immediately? With instructions that Ms. Sanders in the office seeks to terminate all representation of Gator and withdraw its counsel of record in any litigation, mediations, arbitrations, or administrative hearings involving Gator. Is there a motion on the floor? We have a motion.
We do.
Commissioner Callis, is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second by Mr. Don Darrell. All right, any discussion?
Yes, let me discuss on this item. First, let the record show and make it public aware that Louisiana Revised Statute 421112, Sections A and D, prohibit John Callis from participating in this item to include any discussion or voting. Gator is in active litigation, and Callis is a plaintiff on the suit and has a direct personal interest. Ms. Sanders is still our attorney and was the attorney when this was filed, even though Greg Upton unilaterally attempted to exclude her and suppress her ability to represent her client, which is this board. That's professional misconduct and should be reported to the bar. Second, I was only made aware of this item yesterday, and as the vice chancellor and a member, vice chairman and a member of the executive committee, this item should have went through the executive committee. But as we can see, special call meetings are the only way to circumvent that. We got members that don't attend regular meetings, but come to special call meetings. The agenda originally had grant applications on it, but as you can see, that agenda was changed 3 times. And this particular agenda didn't come about until after Ms. Sanders responded to the suit, which is her duty. Also, my request to add an item to discuss the ethics opinion, which is public, related to Greg Upton and Chris Patel's membership on this commission, was withheld off of this agenda, which is critical for what we're trying to do and move forward towards. Greg Upton should be allowed to vote on any item until this opinion is returned and his eligibility to serve on this commission is determined. Chris Patel as well has failed to publicize his conflict of interest as a hotel owner within the city limits, and that he possibly benefits from the grants used to increase hotel occupancy. He also failed to recuse, which is by law. He has to recuse himself from voting and participating. For intentionally violating this law, he should also not be able to vote on any items until this ethic inquiry is returned. But I do want to know and explain to me, why is this item even on this agenda? I reviewed Ms. Sanders' performance over the past 3 years. I've served 2 years as the chairman, worked closely with Ms. Sanders. I looked at some of her legal research, cooperative endeavor agreements. I reviewed some of the notes that I've taken on her over the past 3 years. She's exceeded all those expectations. We haven't had one complaint, one grievance, one suit since Ms. Sanders has been our attorney. So I would like the explanation of why this is even on the agenda, so we can make an informed decision.
Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Let me be clear that one person alone called this meeting. That's Mr. Greg Upton, and him alone. A man who has been on this board less than 2 months and has only attended 2 meetings. Mr. Upton has called this meeting, and the Board of Ethics haven't even decided whether you should even be part of this board. That's coming in June. There's never been any issues with either one of these professional women in this room today. Ms. Sanders have provided sound, evidence-based legal advice to this body. Upon the appointment of 2 people, Mr. Callis and Mr. Upton, both appointed. Mr. Upton appointed by Mr. Rubin, Mr. Callis appointed by Ms. Bentley 2 months ago. And overnight swearing in somewhere, I think in a Bayou parish. Since that time, it's been nothing but chaos self-inflicted chaos amongst this group. We're not taking care of the business. We are nowhere close to aligning ourselves with the mission statement of Gator. We're not even remotely close. Mr. College, you cannot vote, sir. Anything dealing with Ms. Sanders would be at your direct personal interest in her losing this job or dismissed from this job. You have a substantial interest in this. You have brought litigation before this board, and you are sitting here deciding, oh, and by the way, that litigation has been answered by Ms. Sanders, who is our legal attorney, not Mr. Upton. There's so many unprofessional exchanges have taken place over the last couple of weeks. Notification of filing this. None of those procedures and protocols are being followed by Mr. Upton. I got one other thing I want to say. Last, try to terminate our attorney here, and this while litigation is going on. Mr. Upton, what you're doing, sir, is irresponsible and dangerous. I can't be more clear than this, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Some comments, please.
Yes, ma'am.
These are things that are considered unprofessional conduct of a board member. I'll look these things up today on the ethics website. Failing to disclose conflicts of interest. We've had that here today and the last 2 months. Monopolizing board discussions. You don't necessarily monopolize them, you just make the decisions without consulting with the executive committee. So that's monopolizing. Inadequate diversity among board members. Since I've been here in the last 2 months, 2 women have been removed from this board. It's not looking real diverse anymore. I'm the only woman left. You also avoid hard questions. You refuse to answer questions presented to you by that board. That's unprofessional conduct. Insufficient conflict management. You can't get this room to agree on anything. That's poor management of a board. You think that you deserve to be the chairman? You can't completely get this.
Any other comments?
That's a question.
Nothing online.
So you're never going to answer any question I ever asked you? Ever? Didn't answer my questions last meeting. You refused to answer my questions this meeting. Are you ever going to do that?
Mr. Upton, would you please answer? Sir, you are a board member, and a fellow commissioner is asking you a question, sir. Please answer.
This is a comment period here. It's not a Q&A session.
No, this is you trying to sidestep the issue period.
And we're
You're
trying,
not
to
answering the hard
we're trying to make informed decisions. We're trying to remove an attorney who has been not only dedicated, but has not once led us astray. And I'm asking, why is this even on there? How am I gonna make a decision
Right.
if you don't even, just like I emailed and asked why she wasn't involved in the communication? That's something all of us need to know.
I would love to do some informing if I could.
I don't think you can discuss anything on this.
That's right. You're not.
Yeah.
Well, no, that is,
I am, it is.
I spoke to the ethics board this morning. He should not be in any discussion regarding this matter because he brought the lawsuit.
And I have a background in this stuff, so that is true. You can't even discuss.
The team
As the attorney, until I'm not, and she is exactly right. And Mr. Upton, you're very well aware of that. He has brought litigation against all of you. Even though you wanted to bring it with him, you're not a plaintiff. And he has brought litigation against every single one of you. And until I am not the attorney, I am. He is the plaintiff in the lawsuit. He cannot, it is a conflict of interest. It is a personal conflict. It is a personal direct interest that he has in this litigation and me being removed because I answered the lawsuit, as you very well know. And you also know, Mr. Upton, that I was not a part of this agenda until you realized that I did file an exception. So the fact of the matter is, whether you want him to talk or not, he is prohibited from doing so.
Yes.
And you know that.
I don't know that.
Whether you,
I do have that exception in this form.
His motion should be invalid.
As I understand, what was brought in the litigation was to get clarity on the, I guess it's the meeting on February 19th, or whether that one was legal or not.
correct.
That's the whole purpose of that, right? You had brought information to us telling us that it was not an observed holiday.
Right.
I did a very quick Google search. I'm not hard. Let me read you what was the days of public rest, legal holidays, and half holidays, RS 1:55. The following days shall be days of public rest and legal holidays. In the list, the third Monday of February, Washington's birthday, and President's Day. The question in that, because I read it, and again, I'm not a lawyer, was that the 24 hours couldn't have possibly expired on that Monday because it was a legal holiday. You could have a meeting on that day. That apparently is not a problem. The 24 hours.
So what I explained to you, Mr. Cap, so in all the law, there's all kinds of exceptions, right?
Understood.
Okay. It does say that.
Correct.
But what he failed to tell you, acting as the attorney, is you had to read further, which is what I provided you, right? Because I knew coming into this room that with Mr. Upton coming from the gold firm, he was going to probably have more deference given to him than me as the attorney who's been here for many years, right? I knew that. So I knew that whatever I say to you, I can't just say it. I have to have proof because I know that if I'm saying to you, this is what the law, I need to provide that. So you're right. You're exactly right. That's what it says. But you had to read further, which is what I gave you, right? And the reading further was the subsection. The subsection B2, and you can Google it right now if you want. B2. B2 says, it further states, and I'm going to read it to you, and you can Google it and read it with me. Why? Because, Mr. Carroll, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to gear you in the wrong direction. I'm not, regardless of whether I lose my job or not, I'm going to stand by what I know to be the law, says the revised statutes. Let me get back to this. It says, subsection B2, and I handed this to you. Further states that Washington's Day, Washington's birthday, which is President's Day, National Memorial Day, and Huey P. Long Day, those are 3 exceptions, all right? Shall be observed only in such a manner if the governor may proclaim. And I explained to you that that particular day, he did not proclaim it. It could be a legal holiday. It could be one in 2025, but in 2024, it was not because he didn't proclaim it, right? Which is why we were open, Gada, which is why the city was open, which is why the state was open. So that 24-hour time frame, and Mr. Carroll, let me just be clear while I am the attorney. This lawsuit that he filed is in black and white. It will be kicked out within the first 5 minutes because it's in black and white. And sadly enough, again, this is my second time meeting him. I don't know him. Mr. Upton knows this. And if he doesn't, it's shocking because it's a part of the revised statute. You can't just read the first part. You have to read the entire statute. And there's an exception under subsection B2. It's in black and white, and I hand it to each and every one of you so that you can know that I'm not going to let this board call a meeting on a day that I know they couldn't. Mr. Carroll, I know very well who I am and what I look like. I'm a double minority, as I said before. I can't come in here half-stepping because I might have a motion to terminate my legal engagement letter. And Mr. Carroll, we all know how we got here, right? We all know how it's the elephant in the room, but we all know how we got here. What I don't want is the 20 years that I have been practicing law and being an attorney and building my law office down the street is for anybody, any of these individuals to say that I provided ineffective counsel, particularly when it's not what I'm saying. It's not a gray area of law. It's what the law says. Again, subsection B2. So what's interesting is in the lawsuit, if you read it, they only quoted that part right there.
Yeah.
His attorney. That's only quoted. He didn't include subsection B2. You know why?
Because it deals with observation, it deals how you observe.
Because it deals with the fact that, the governor's judicial proclamation is not a legal holiday. And honestly speaking, if I am able to come, the question is before the board. The question is for the judge, before the judge.
That is correct. Let the court decide.
I would say, as the state as an indispensable party, let the governor tell you he didn't proclaim it as a legal holiday, right? It's a simple
Hopefully we
question.
get something from the judge pretty soon that tells us one way. So
But until then, it's still a conflict, it's still a conflict.
I know it is, not this
And
straightforward.
he's a plaintiff, you're a clear plaintiff on this item.
You just don't want to hear, you don't want to hear what I have to say.
I know, but you're still a plaintiff.
I'm still gonna say what I'm still gonna say.
So you are exactly right, but that subsection is the exception. And until he does, it's not. And that is the reason why the meeting was legal and valid. And I know you Googled it, but you can, anybody can call the governor's office and ask them. Ask them. Did you, you don't believe the revised statute, if you don't take my word for it, call the governor's office. Was it a proclaimed legal holiday? And it was not, Mr. Carroll. And I would not, I would not have told you that. I wouldn't have done that.
Okay,
Because I'm not that-
we'll let the court decide that.
But with that being said and letting the court decide, don't you think it's premature to have this on the agenda before you even know she's right?
Very premature.
No, I don't.
No.
When I said.
All right, I do have a question in the discussion. Ms. Sanders, who authorized you to file that exception?
Gayla, in my legal
So
counsel,
who on the board did you talk to about filing it?
my agreement as counsel, I have a professional responsibility and I have a professional, I'm gonna answer his question because he's asking me and he's still my chair. So as I said at the last meeting, the disrespect that he shows me, I'm not gonna show him. All right.
Okay, so you're, please answer the question.
I did already, but if I have to repeat it.
So you.
My professional responsibility as the attorney for Gator is to protect this organization, right? And so if that is my duty and ethical obligation to protect this organization, when we're sued by Mr. Callis, I'm going to respond to it.
Okay, so I just want to.
That's my answer, Mr. Upton.
Did you talk to any board member about the?
The expectation of her is to,
Sir, I'm not asking you, I'm asking.
the expectation is to.
Recognize me as the executive director. It has been, even when you were legal counsel, for you to speak with the executive director, and that she did, even though you don't recognize me as that. She did.
So you
So
authorized.
she was not out of line and I was.
Okay, you authorized her to file the answer. Okay. What options did she present to you for the answer?
She didn't have to, I trust her legal. There you go.
Why did you file before the date was even served?
Why was she not included in the discussion in the first place?
Before you ask another question. Why did that?
I can speak to this. I can speak to this.
All right, let's get back. We have a motion and a second.
Oh, sir, we're not.
We did not have a discussion.
Yes, we do.
And then we have public comment that needs to make.
That is correct.
If it's my duty to protect this organization, my question to you is, what difference does it matter if I was served or not? I'm going to follow the answer to protect my organization, whether I did it when I was served officially by a sheriff or not. Why would you have a problem with that, Mr. Upton?
Because I disagree with the tactics you have in the lawsuit.
It's a what?
The tactics.
The tactic is to represent my organization, which I want to do.
Okay, you answered my question. That's all I have. Any other discussion from board members? Can you answer my question, please?
Love it, I love it.
Sure, you're still a commissioner. You're not, you can talk.
Well, we'll let ethics handle
Yeah,
it.
so I'm gonna.
He is prohibited.
I'm not.
This man has brought litigation.
Prohibited.
No, sir, he isn't.
Me,
Yes, sir.
I've never been my name.
2 months and been sued twice.
And that's the example of circumventing the legal advice that we are saying. She's the attorney.
Not you, Mr. Upton.
She's the attorney.
You are not, you are a chair, you are the board chair. You are not the attorney.
Sir, take your position, please. Take your position.
That is self-destruction.
And it's misconduct. That's misconduct.
This is, This is a lawsuit that he has brought, and you're saying that it's permissible for him to discuss it with the board? Are you serious?
That's a different.
We're not discussing the lawsuit.
Yes, we are. You're just asking me, why did I get into the lawsuit
talking to you.
without?
That is correct.
Hey, you need to be respectful. You're going to be respectful.
It's not bullying today, sir. No bullying allowed today.
Talk, I don't get to talk.
No.
Prohibited to talk.
The chair recognizes Mr. Callis, please. Let's show some respect. And give Mr. Callis his time.
No, we don't recognize, public don't recognize that.
That's right. He should be recused from this item. And he should have no discussion.
Well, that's good. I appreciate those opinions, but that's not the way.
That is the law.
What is it? What do you have to say, Mr. Callis?
I'm here on a very, very specific day. I am concerned, any other board in the state, like you could do Slemco or Clico or Roy Martin's board. If the board has the ability to make a change in legal counsel, I have, from day one, when Lizzie Felter sent a letter to this board, telling this board that she was concerned with how the succession plan was being handled. She was concerned that there was nobody that was allowed to put in an application. As soon as that happened, people got really upset that they were getting taken off this board. And as a result of that, we have a notice, the city council, I gotta remind everybody, the city council on Friday posted a notice that they're gonna have a meeting on Monday. The meeting on Monday is at 4:00. As a result of that, with Ms. Sanders and other people on this board, I was not on this board, but I was at those meetings. I came to those meetings. As a result of that, there was a meeting, does everybody remember? There was a regularly scheduled.
Ms. Sanders, Ms. Sanders, what?
I'm finishing, I promise you.
Please, everyone. Let's
As a
make
result
things.
of that,
Before we
the
begin,
meeting
let's
that was
listen to what people have to say and speak one person.
I promise I will not be long at all. I'm gonna be very- As a result of that, there was a meeting that was scheduled on Tuesday. It was a normal data meeting. As a result of the city council putting their meeting on Monday, this board decided that they wanted to move that meeting from Tuesday to Monday at 4:11 on that day. Does everybody remember that? I hope they do. We get to the meeting, I'm dressed up, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to get sworn in. And what happens? The city council cancels the meeting. David goes through with that meeting because I really believe, based on belief, that the city council canceled it because it was on a holiday. There was not proper notice. Proper notice on that day. That's not true. I'm telling you, but I'm getting up to circle around here, and I promise I will not be long.
No, you misread.
So what happens is, nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say.
Please.
So as a result of that, all of this could have been done on Tuesday.
No, a lot
All
of
of this
this
could have been done on Tuesday.
amongst this body.
But as a result of what the city council did,
Yes.
everybody wanted to make these changes before the two members of the board happened, before the two members of the board got on. And that has always concerned me. It's concerned Lizzie Felter. It concerned other members of the board, the city council. So when I get on here and I start looking at what's going on, I go, I have a serious question about legal counsel. I have a serious question about what is going on in the decision making. And at that point, I am 100%
So, Mr.
confident that I
Callis,
think we can do better.
as you know, our previous executive director fell sick on Christmas. Did you ask Ms. Felter, when she was appointing you to the board, as to when we were pretty much weakened by not having an executive director, why she decided to do what she did in terms of reforming this board and changing up board members? Did you ask her that?
You know,
And not only you, right after you had Lee Rubin do the same thing. So you're worried about what the board is doing, but what about what Ms. Felter and Mr. Rubin did? Did you question them?
I have a perfect answer.
Order here. This is not about the city council. It's not about their point. This is about termination of a contract. So let's keep our discussion termination. Is there any more discussion from the board members? All right, Ben.
Well, I do have one last thing. Again, Mr. Callis should not be involved in this conversation.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, being there's no further discussion from the board, we will now ask if there's any public comments. And I will remind everybody that Gator longstanding rules is the public has 3 minutes to speak.
Why did you give the board no period?
Can we ask where you go again?
Okay, I'm ready.
We have a question for the film. No, sir, where are the public comment, please, sir? Please state your name and, make your comment.
My name is Gary Johnson, District 2 City Council. He brought up the council. I was not aware that our meeting was not held because of the holiday. That was not brought up, so I don't know where you get the information from. But what really disturbed me, the meeting that I was in, and Ms. Sanders showed you guys in black and white the law. You didn't have to Google it. She gave it to you. You guys went ahead and voted against the law. She showed it in black and white. You did not ask one question. She read it to you. And four of you guys went on and voted without even looking and listening to that lady, what she said.
Total disrespect.
So I tell you what. I'll put you guys like this. My priority has shifted at the city council. My priority is to get you and you off the board. Because for the first 16 months that I was a councilor person, Gator was running just great.
Yep.
In the last 2 months, chaos. And not the stuff y'all put on the day where all four of you guys decided not to show up at the meeting.
Yep.
What kind of crap is that? Y'all supposed to be professionals. Y'all four did not show up. Therefore, they could not run the agenda.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna take, no.
Board, don't certain demand letters that I look forward and expect me to show up.
Public comments, public comments.
This is what, let's,
So, I finished.
all right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any further public comments? If we're gonna have a lot, I'm gonna put on a timer for 3 minutes.
Give them a part phone.
I have watched,
If you please state your name for the record.
I'm Candy Kristoff, Sandra Candy Kristoff. I've watched the board meetings, the last couple of meetings, and I've sat on various boards on multiple businesses in the community. And truly, you all have a situation amongst yourselves. You're in a situation now where it's right versus wrong. It's ethical versus unethical. It's justice versus injustice. And you're at a point where you have to look at your hearts. You have to look at your hearts. God is not the author of confusion, strife, division, corruption. It's a spiritual issue. You've got to look at your hearts. The Bible says do everything in decency and in order. This is a matter of good versus evil. Search your hearts and ask your heart if you were in these two young ladies' positions and the situations was exactly the same, would you feel like you had been treated fairly? If your loved ones was in the exact same situation, do you feel like your loved ones would have been treated fairly? We have an obligation. My bishop's father-in-law said, Popsy said, when you've done something wrong, you made a mistake, you have an obligation to make it right. It's your duty to make it right. Gator has had its ups and downs through years, but never, ever anything dark like this. Never. I don't want my tax dollars being wasted on frivolous lawsuits. There are people struggling to pay their utility bills. So those that search your hearts, in a few minutes, you're gonna have to vote your conscience. And then you, your families, all of Alexandria and your God will know your heart. For those who go contrary to transparency, to what is ethical, what is right, what is legal, then I think you individually should be required to repay the citizens of Alexandria our tax dollars, because we work too hard for our money. You have an obligation to do what is right for this community. Both of these two young ladies are professionals. They come from a long stock of commitment and loyalty and service to this community. They don't deserve this, and this is wrong. Make it right. Make it right. Thank you.
Hello, I am Tracy Snow. Please take note of how I am saying and have said the very same thing on both sides of this street, both on the city council side and over here on the GATA side. Let me remind you that the revised statute creating GATA says this district shall be administered and governed by a commission. We all know the appointing authority to this commission, right? They have offices on that side of the street. However, nowhere in the statute does it give the appointing authority the power to sway, control, or direct a commissioner's decisions with regards to GATA business. Nowhere does it say that. In fact, my appointing council person told me I was not expected to follow her directives, as GATA is its own entity with a board of commissioners appointed to work for the greater good of GATA and thereby Alexandria. The latest changes to the GATA board no longer reflect the supposition of autonomy because of the ruthless, childish, appalling behavior and votes of the GATA good old four. It directly reflects the ruthless, childish, appalling behaviors and votes of the city council good old four.
Yeah, yeah.
We all see what's perhaps Tiffany Sanders, myself, and now you're trying to run Angela Barnado into the ground. The good old four on both sides of the street are demonstrating vindictiveness instead of a willingness to act with professional courtesy and work together for a greater Alexandria.
Good afternoon. My name is Miss Bell. 2 weeks ago, maybe more, I sat in this meeting and Ms. Sanders passed out what she said about earlier with dealing with the President's Day. She passed it out. I didn't have a copy, but I could see that her part was highlighted. And Mr. Carroll, she asked you, as long as she has been counsel to this board, has she ever steered the board wrong? Your answer was no. No was your answer. Okay. Mr. Upton, you were former legal counsel of this board, and you know the rules and regulations. As Dr. Lewis said, appointed members of boards and commissions may recuse themselves to avoid a violation of section 1112. Unlike elected officials, they may not participate in the debate or discussion of the matter. They must recuse themselves from all participation. RS 42112D. You all know it. You all know it, that Mr. Callis shouldn't be sitting on this board commenting about what is going on. Ms. Sanders, what I can say to you is the Lord will fight for you. So you need to only to be still Exodus 14:14, for those of you who may not know the word.
I would point out here that I do have 421112 here. And she did read the recusal section correctly, but she didn't read the rest of the statute. That it
He has 3 minutes.
Here's,
only requires recusal if he has a substantial economic interest in this, the outcome of this.
AKA the lawsuit.
And it has no economic interest. Yes, sir. Are you, next public comment, please.
wait till you complete. Good afternoon, Data Board, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jules Green of the Garden District. We the citizens, tax-paying citizens, we who exercise our civic rights to vote in every election, stand before this board to ask what pernicious act has Attorney Sanders perpetrated as legal counsel for this board. To my knowledge, since she has been appointed to this position, and after your removal, Mr. Chair, this board has moved in an exemplary form. She has no known conflict of interest, as Dr. Lewis' letter to the Board of Ethics has been stated about you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, as for you, there are known ethics violations that we are waiting to obtain answers regarding your tenure on this board as well. I do assure you, we're going to address your hotel flagship corporation about how you work against the minority vested interest in this community. Mr. Callis, you want people to support your upcoming 5-star restaurant that is located in a drug-infested area, as a report that was recent in a police report that you filed when you were shot at. On top of that, how do you think your patrons will feel when they step out on that sidewalk and find a full-fledged group of protesters on a public sidewalk in front of your establishment? Yes, as the old saying says, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Look how the transition of KLB TV5 after formal complaints were filed with their parent company in Atlanta, Georgia. I thank you for your time. Everything is on the line. And to God be the glory for the things that he has done, because he will set it right in order. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cynthia Perry, District 3. Everybody wants to beat around the bush. Racism. Prejudice. Discrimination. Or by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular race or ethnic group. It's what I see today. Racism, nobody wants to talk about it. I said it in our council meeting. Nobody wants to talk about racism. We're in the 21st century, and we're here today to terminate not an African American, but a black attorney. We asking for her to resign. How smart is that? You see, at our council meeting, when they presented you, Mr. Callis, and you, Mr. Upton, when Miss Lindsay Felter and Mr. Lee Rubin presented you at our council meeting, as beautiful as your resume was, it was a lie, and I knew it was a lie. You know why it was a lie? Because the timing wasn't right. Everything I'm saying here today, I said it in the council meeting. I'm not an angry black woman. I'm far from angry because God don't allow me to get angry. Because you know what he do? Every time y'all do something racist, it only draws me closer to God to pray for people like you. Miss Tiffany Sanders, outstanding. Outstanding. Phenomenal. You two men and your council people, shame on you. Disgraceful to the city of Alexandria that we're here doing something in this time against African American women. You know what? You better step up because you believe what you hear, that black people don't stick together. Well, you're wrong. And we play very influence in this community. And I will do all that needs to be done to assure that Miss Tiffany Sanders, Miss Angie Bernardo stay in this position. And as attorneys, Mr. Upton, shame on you. Shame on you. To work for a gold firm and to make their name bad, shame on you. I speak the truth because you know what? We all need to be held accountable. That includes your board, the Gator Board. That includes the city council the city council board. I will be held accountable if I don't speak what I am speaking today. So let me tell you, once again, you think this over and you feel, if you feel this is right and you don't, because you know it's wrong, I ask that you reconsider what you're about to do because I will do what needs to be done in the community to assure that you too and any council member is not fair to this city, not just District 3, but to this city of Alexandria.
Roger Green, pastor of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, also the pastor of Attorney Tiffany Sanders. I'm disgusted. As a pastor, I have counseled Crips and Bloods in the same room, and they were more cordial than this professional board is. Over talking one another, I'm just shocked. Not really shocked because I'm amazed that in the year 2024, we're still fighting the same old fight.
That's right.
When are you all going to stop and look out what's best for the city and take yourself out of this? The first step I've been hearing Christ's name, mentioned people talk about spirituality, even opened up with prayer.
Yeah.
But yet, look what happens after prayer. How are you going to mention Christ in your heart when he has no respect to persons? He doesn't see color. And what I see today, I see the same old fight. And this is ridiculous because how are we going to tell these young men and women in Alexandria to get along? And in a professional board like this, we are bringing our prejudice and things that we were brought up with, that old boys thing. We need to get rid of all of that and be more professional. Tiffany Sanders, Attorney Tiffany Sanders, is the attorney for our church. I'm the pastor of that church. Come on. But when I need legal advice, I go to her and I follow it to the letter, and she's never been wrong. So you may be the chair of the board, whatever, but if she's your attorney and she's presenting the right documentation, what's the problem? Quit looking at a black woman and look at an attorney, and you're gonna get everything you need. She is professional. I've never had any problem with her. And you all just need to come to grips and realize that this is a different day. This is a different time. And echoing what, see, like my brother, he turned his back. You see, that's very disrespectful. And I'm a pastor. My position is higher than anybody in here right now. So when I stand, everybody should look my way because I stand to represent God. But see, if you're going to turn your back on a man of God, you got some real issues. But you turning your back on me don't really bother me because God never turns his back on me. And so I'm telling you, do what's right. My grandmother said this, and I'll be done. When you do wrong and know you do wrong, always remember you have to go to sleep. And she said, when you're sleeping, you already have one foot in the grave. And it's up to God if he want to wake you up the next morning. You better think about that.
That's my body. And he's with me. Lorenzo Davis Senior. Dr. Lewis. We can get up there. First of all, I thank God for all the preachers and pastors, Brother Williams, came out today because it's time for you to get in the fight, brother. It's time for y'all to get in the fight. See, I've been fighting and I ran against the man that set all this up. The man that's got all this set up, y'all been on his team. Hurt? Y'all boy. See, y'all all this set up. He got it all set up, brother. You were put here to do the job, and you've done the job. The folks can tell. Now I'm challenging you. Vote the right way. Change this. Show Johnny he ain't got the power you think he got. It's been said. All the talking and all the preaching and everything we've done, those people already know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, that's right.
They've been told to do. What they're gonna do, you're gonna do what y'all said to do. So now what you got to do is stand up and say, it's right that lady stay there. It's right that Angela Bernardo is the most qualified person. She's been there 20 years. I'd like to see some courage. See, one thing my mother said, you ran against John. John and me were friends. No, mother. Yeah, I know you worried, because you better worry, because I'm coming after you in this next election. It's cheap. Now we need to stand up, vote. Remove those people that's not for us. That's right. Foolishness is over. Like Malcolm said, it's time to understand that there's power in the vote. I was sleeping and now I'm woke. I'm woke. So wake up. Let's vote these people out, and then these people wouldn't be here. But I'm asking just once that somebody have the courage to say, I'm not going to vote to do what he wants. So those people, we coming after you.
All right.
I'm not gonna say my name because it really don't matter, because all the names don't matter when you look at our community and y'all step on us and y'all fires and all this. So my name really don't matter to you, and I know it doesn't. But I actually already knew that this was a waste of time because y'all gonna do what y'all want to do. And before he got in, when they put him in, we already knew it was gonna happen. We already knew it was gonna happen the way they said it to happen. 1964 all over again. But I'm gonna tell y'all this, that every community I be in, that I make sure they watch the city council meeting. I'm talking about from the grassroots, from, if you want to call it studs, criminals, whatever, but all of them see what you're doing, and all of them standing with the sister. So I don't really care if you look. Because racists can't look in your face, because they're scared. That's what it is. Julia, white supremacist is not smart. So she say, is it smart to fire a black woman? No, because white supremacy ain't smart. Or racism ain't smart, only ignorant, dumb, stupid people do that. That's right. When they judge you on your colors. You know what I'm saying? But we always been judging our colors. It hasn't changed. And it, like, it isn't changing. And it's sad when we see how it's blatant and not even abstract anymore. It's just right in our face. But since it's right in our face, we're gonna be right in y'all face. And if we have to protest, the city council meeting, shut down y'all meetings, we will do it. And y'all know we will do it. Y'all done seen us doing it. Y'all most definitely seen me out there doing it. So I'm gonna make sure my people in every community, because I'm up here representing them in every community. For the community that I think they signed him up for, I don't know why, we've never seen him in it, or whatever. We're gonna make sure to be at every meeting, every vote, we're gonna get y'all out of there. So black people that said it, vote, 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 vote. Because right now, this year, our vote really, really is really important to get all these racists, white supremacists out their seat. Yep. And you don't go, hey, say, I'd be scared to look too. Cowards, because it was a bunch of y'all, you little cowards. Y'all ain't real men. Y'all need to give the position up to people who can handle the position. Real men, because y'all not. Y'all a bunch of cowards. Black power and all power to people in your face. Right there.
The Herb Reporter, City of Alexandria. Let's call this what it is. Let's take the hoods and the masks off. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. This is racism. I know I'm repeating some of the things folks have said. This is bigotry. This is prejudice. This is misogyny. The only reason you're doing what you're doing is because the previous board of Gaylord started to make a correction, a steering correction change. They were staying true to the economic development policies issued by Harry Truman back in 1949. They were going to start to put economic development into the communities that are in dire need of those funds. And once that started to take place, it was as if there was a declaration of war and they came after us. And you know who they are. Economic development is designed to increase the standard of living in areas that have poverty. That was the original intent of economic development. Since then, it's been hijacked. It's been hijacked by the wealthy and the corporations not to raise the standard of living of these poor communities. It was now directed to improve the growth of existing wealthy corporations and organizations. It got hijacked. And when we had people on this board that started to change the direction, it was as if there was a big bullseye placed on your back.
Right.
Now, here's the situation. We need to do what's moral. What's being proposed here is immoral. We need to do what's ethical. You already heard Dr. Lewis make his case. This is unethical. And I contend we need to do what's legal. And you heard Attorney Sanders state about how illegal this is. Now, we need to do something here today. We need to start moving in the right direction, and we need to take the correct steps forward. Now, those of you that want to prevail with this route you're going, those of us who were born in the 1950s, we're approaching our 70s, some of us already there, we've waged this battle before. And God darn it, now we got to fight it again. And let me tell you, if we don't fight this battle again, our grandchildren are going to have to fight the exact same battle. You cannot allow this to happen. Now, those of you that feel that damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, we're going to do it anyway, you've heard what people have said. You have brought this community together in a way that we really couldn't have done it ourselves. And I really should thank you for it. There's a price to pay for this, and it's very expensive. And you heard the names mentioned: Lee Rubin, Upton, Callis, Carroll, Felter, Ballard, Fowler, Roy. Come on. That's who you're up against. Those are the opposition. Those are the ones looking to subrogate the black community. Now, if you stand idly by and allow that to happen, shame on you. If there's ever been a call to arms, this is it. You must stand up, you must speak up, and you must shout out. Don't let this happen. And anyone that's responsible for it, they need to pay the price.
To all of you that are here on this afternoon, I'm a little puzzled at what's really happening, why we're really here. The thing at hand is to whether or not you're going to remove too educated, too well-known, too qualified Afro-Americans. Some of us are angry, some are disturbed. We can speak all night, we can go on all night. But what are we gonna do? Tiffany, very well educated, beautiful black woman.
Dedicated.
Not just on the outside, but in the inside as well. It just seems as though every time a situation arises, and I watch television, I watch city council, but every time a situation arises, it deals with the removal of somebody. There's something wrong with that picture. You know, I know each and every one of us has our agendas. You know, I watch your body language, I watch your movement, I watch your action, I look at your actions on your faces. And mine's already made up because the expression that you have gives yourself away. But the true picture is, y'all, this is our city.
Not just theirs.
Yeah, we have more fighting here than we have in Iraq. Alexandria is a small city. We got more fighting here than New Orleans.
Green cow.
You can't do nothing about being white. You're white, you're white. I can't do nothing about being black. I'm black, I'm black. So what we have to do is we have to put Martin Luther King said, I would not be judged by the content about the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. So why are we fighting? You have qualified people that are here. You have, and I can, Tiffany, she's very outspoken. You know, some of you might not like her because she's outspoken. Well, you're outspoken in your own way. A person that don't stand for nothing don't mean nothing. She's aggressive. You want an attorney that's aggressive. She's vocal. You want an attorney that's vocal.
She knows the law.
She knows the law. You want somebody who knows the law. And see, what we do is, instead of letting an attorney handle the law, we want to be the lawyers ourselves. Why? Several pictures. Jealousy. Because you don't have the spot. Racism plays a part, but it's not totally racism.
Sexism too.
Sexism. You got all that's a bigger picture. It's not just about racism.
Agendism.
It all plays its part. But look, y'all, why don't we just stop fighting?
And work together.
And just put this thing together and work together. You don't really have a legitimate reason to remove either one of them.
They've got no wrong.
If the truth were to be told, the ones who's trying to remove her need to be removed themselves. I don't know the chairman. I don't know this other gentleman. I don't know, but baby, let me tell you, if expressions were killed, we'd be dead already. So my appeal to you is this, I'm not gonna throw stones at you, I'm not gonna fight with you, I'm not gonna try to tell you about yourself. Why don't we just handle this thing like men and women? But we made a mistake and made the wrong move, wrong distance, leave it alone. Guess what? You can work together, it's workable.
Make it right.
So if it's workable, let's just get it right and let's just work together, let's fix it. If it don't fit, don't folks, just relax and let it go. So what I say to you today, let it go. We can talk all night. Let's vote to keep her right, keep them right where they are. You don't do nothing. Sometimes when you remove people and you bring somebody in, then I'm gonna brought in a bigger problem. So I'm not gonna, I watch the city council. I don't like everything they do, but I'm really not gonna fight. I ain't gonna fight them. I'm gonna try to give a better solution, a solution that will help the problem, not hurt the problem. And if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing. Just keep it to yourself. So let's not spend all night. You're here for a reason.
Make it right.
Let's just make it right. Let's show everybody and our children that's watching us, and they watch y'all when y'all be on TV and all this stuff. Let's just go ahead on and make it right. Because if you don't make it right, our show gonna make it right.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question and a comment. Mr. Harris, do you remember when we first? I'm gonna finish, because at this point, you think I'm public. You don't even think I'm executive director. My question to you is, when we first brought Tiffany Sanders on, we were hiring her, after a long process. When you voted, you said, you're the ones that work with. That's what you told Mr. Mullins. Okay? I gave her the direction to do what she needed to do in this lawsuit. Why am I not afforded the same respect to have legal counsel do what she did to protect Gator? Why are you motioning? And you also said in the meeting that last meeting that we had, you said, you're right. You told her, she's right, and we can work it out. But I keep seeing you motion and you second, and I just want to ask why.
Because I want to have the discussion. I want to figure out what's really going
Then can we hold off on this action?
on. We have become toxic. I've been here, I worked with you for many years. This has become toxic. It became toxic with that first special meeting to put you in. I told him, I said, we had a process. We had a whole process.
In the succession plan, we did go to that
No,
process.
you did not.
We did.
It was a 12 to 18 month process.
It was
We did
not.
12 to 18 hours.
At the end of the day,
We did.
at the end of the day, we did. And I've never, in 19 years, I've never done anything except fight and serve Gator. But I'm not your servant.
No. I've never.
But until now, because without acknowledging, I can't even speak in a minute without talking. I'm not talking to you. In the 80s and 90s, when I joined the military, I've never been talked to by men so badly, even as a private, in the United States Army, than I have now.
Not by me.
And, and Tiffany, she has done nothing wrong here to deserve this motion. It should be discussed, just like these other items are on for discussion, but an active item before we discussed?
Which is why I wanted a second, so I wanted to have a discussion. I want to hear, I wanted to say what I said. I've read this. I'm not a lawyer. I never pretended to be.
Okay, well, we're back in public section, unless we got,
See, the committee, you changed, Mr. Kelly.
If anybody's interested,
No.
and I think that says it all right there. No, we're not interested. All we're looking at is race. That's all we're looking at. And that's all you're doing.
Let him speak. Let him speak.
If you let me speak, I'll explain to you how all of this started, how it all came about. why it came about. Okay? If you don't want me to speak, I'll leave. We've heard a lot of political speeches here today. Okay? You see, you got a lot of people who's getting ready to run for office. I'm getting ready to run for election. If I win, that's fine. If I lose, that's fine. I don't need this job, okay? But we're talking. What we're talking about here and why all this started is because over the last, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 years, this board, in my opinion, has not been acting in a business way and has not been doing the things that Gator was established to do. Okay? It was not established to build houses. That was brought up several years ago. You know, there was a tax put on the local hotels and motels. And that money was to be used primarily to put, as we say, heads in beds, okay? That money was used to help bring conventions and large meetings into town. All right? So then the spinoff from all those large meetings was your economic development. Okay? The money that is spent to hire people to work in the restaurants, the money that's spent to hire people to work in the hotels, and so forth and so on. Okay, that was economic development that was intended. When we sit here and we give money to groups that come into town, okay, that's what Gators was supposed to be all about. One of the first, when I went on as a councilman 8 years ago, I appointed, I'm sorry, I forget his name, but the gentleman that at that time was running the Holiday Inn.
Raj.
Right, yes, okay, I appointed him, because in my thoughts, just like Mr. Patel here, you know, these people that are in the business, you know, ought to have a say-so in how this is all being done, okay? Because the idea is to bring business to the hotels and the restaurants and so forth and so on, and convention centers, to help the betterment and the development of the economy overall of Alexandria. All right, number one.
A lot of that's false. That's just false information that he's stealing.
Here we go. Let finish, please.
But he's telling inaccurate data.
Y'all, let's please let him finish.
Okay. Now, when the latest thing started blowing up, okay, and when Mr. Bowler was no longer able to fulfill his duties, Ms. Bernardo, Ms. Bernardo was, through the succession plan that had been written some 10, 15 years ago, multi-page plan, very, very detailed on what should be done when the executive director's position is open. Okay? She was supposed to step in as the acting director, and a formal search was supposed to be done for a new director.
It's a long time ago.
That's not all that.
Mr. Chairman, may I extend?
Yeah, please, extend. You've had in the room's gone over 3 minutes.
You've had 15 or 20 people stand up and say how bad this is. Let one person speak on the other side and try to explain what's going on. This is not about getting rid of.
You understand the Mac
Yeah, every time I go.
My name is Tiffany Sanders, attorney at law. That's my
Ms.
name.
Sanders?
Yes, sir.
It's not, I'm not even talking about what's going on with you right now. That's not what I want to talk about. Okay? What I'm talking about is, the first thing that was done is we were supposed to go through a multi-week review and search for an executive director. All of a sudden, by Mr. Moeller's discussion and by the board's discussion at that time when that succession plan was written. Okay, so all of a sudden, an emergency meeting was held to make that temporary position permanent. Okay, without any search whatsoever.
Several of us from the city council came to that meeting and said, please do this in a business-like manner.
Do it over there.
Go through your regular succession search. Okay? Ms. Bernardo, sorry, Ms. Bernardo, I asked the question, when I spoke to Mr. Upton and asked him if he would be willing to serve on this board, because I felt we needed to make up the board to change a little bit so that we could change some of these things. And he asked me, do you feel like that she could remain, if we decided, would you object to her being the full-time executive director? And when you asked me that question, and I said, no, I have no objection to that. All I want you to do is go through the proper proceedings and interview people. When Mr. Moeller was hired, he was brought in all the way from New York.
He wasn't hired for the succession plan, and that's not all that succession.
No,
plan says.
but he was.
It gives the authority to the board to make the decision to go ahead and put a direct level staff, which happened to be me, in that position.
As temporary.
No. In addition, again, you gotta read
So
before,
why were we
in the middle
afraid,
and after.
why were we afraid to advertise to find out if there was somebody else?
But why the same reason why the city didn't advertise for the utility director?
Ooh.
And 19 years that man has been on the job. Y'all just don't vote him right on in.
Search for the CDB director.
So,
The search for the public utility director, so national search, this was a recommendation. But
I'm just saying,
we're sticking to the
I'm
item,
just saying, y'all think
Sticking to
there's a
the item.
succession plan written.
we're sticking to the item of Ms. Sanders.
I'm not speaking about the Sanders, I'm talking about.
That's what the public comment was about.
Okay. I think there've been many, many comments made here tonight that had nothing to do with Ms. Sanders, okay? And I'll say something, I'll say something else here. As the comments about the administration, and Jacques Roy can speak for himself, I don't know who to speak for him by any means, but I can tell you, the majority of the employees from the city of Alexandria are black. The majority of the people in City Hall.
We are not the minority, we're the majority. African Americans are the majority of people in city of Alexandria. So for you to say that is.
So if it's so racist, why in the world would we be having so many black people in those big jobs? Just say, talk racism all you want. That's easy argument to make. That's not what this was all about.
What's about?
And I did, when I first heard that discussion was coming up about Ms. Sanders, and I said to Mr. Upton, I said,
Attorney Sanders.
who will we be replacing her with? I hope it will be a black female. And his answer,
And you want me to give you a sharper pick, you digging a deep hole. This is crazy. You're exposing your internal implicit racial bias by what you're saying.
and you're the most racist man in this room. You are the most racist man in this room. Sorry, I've lost
You have no idea of your own internal implicit racial bias. You don't even recognize it. You don't even see it.
Do we have any other public comments? You want a public comment?
Yes.
Contrary
Okay, sir, please continue with the public comments. Everybody in the audience, please be quiet. Thank you.
contrary to the one who spoke before me, I intended to speak on a few things, and I'll sit down. My name is Reverend Remus Jones, and I want to talk about three things, then I'm gonna sit down. I want to talk about character, I want to talk about competency, and I want to talk about commitment. I've had the pleasure of knowing Miss Bernard for 15 years or more. We served together at St. Matthew's Baptist Church. She was my assistant for the youth ministry. At the time, Dr. Green was the pastor there. And at that time, we had up to 200 children, 13 youth leaders or parents, if you will. Her specialty in that area was that although I was over the ministry, she worked alongside me. She knew more and helped me to do my job more efficiently. I say that for this reason here. It's because I watched her take work home and have to do work for Gator. I watched her while I got this going on. She would plan, and she's excellent. She's gifted in ways that you would never know. She's very gifted, very talented. And she's so committed to the work of Gator. Not only to Gator, but she served the former executive director, Mr. Moore, well. That level of faithfulness shouldn't go unnoticed. And so if you're looking for somebody else to do this job, I'll tell you what I told her. There's not a person in Alexandria. There's not a person in the United States. You can't find anybody else better to do the job than her. Now, I love her as she's my sister. It's interesting to hear her say that people disrespect her, but I have the utmost respect for her. The utmost respect. It's a shame to sit here and see people sit here and talk. Some people are so ignorant, they don't even know they're stupid. We can talk long enough. We all know, everyone in here say, do what is right. Do what's right. It makes no sense to keep wasting time. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You may not have done the right thing before, but today is a good day to do what's right.
Thanks, sir. All right, it appears there's no further public comments. Okay, there being none.
I would like to make a substitute motion to send this to the executive committee, or to send this to the executive committee for further discussion.
I second. I second.
A roll call vote
Uh,
on the second motion.
Nay, no. Oh, yeah, we're going, yeah,
Mr. Upton,
no.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Katz? Yes. Mr. Carroll?
No.
Mr. Patel?
No.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Callen?
No.
There you go, y'all. There you go. It's already.
Okay, there-
Alice is actually prohibited from voting, so you can have motion fails.
well, it does fail, but he's not prohibited from voting. That's it.
Oh.
Oh, no, he isn't. But so right now, we have a motion and a second. We've had extensive public comment and commission comments. So can we have a roll call vote
I
on the
have a
motion?
comment, I have this comment myself.
Right. Ms. Upton, sir, I have applauded and come back 3 times, 3 trips down that route. I have sit in briefings with colonels, generals. Sir, this is not leadership. This is not what leadership looks like. I beg your pardon? Beg your pardon?
All right, Ms. Sanders, please, make your comments.
So I recognize that this decision that the board has probably, more than likely, the 4 have already made their decision. And it comes solely on the heels of my most recent actions, which were to represent this board. Not the city of Alexandria, not Lee Rubin, Jock Roy, Lizzie Felter, anybody across the street. It was to represent Gator in a lawsuit that was filed by Lizzie Felter's appointment, Mr. Callis. In the many, many years that I have been the attorney for Gator,
the only issue that has ever come up about my legal representation was when the city of Alexandria got involved. That was the youth court. We sent it out before we did anything for AG's opinion, and it came back what it came back. Outside of that, I have not had anybody question or call into question my integrity or my ability to lead anything. I am actually proud of the fact that I have a successful law. I represent the National Baptist Convention of America, which has over millions of members. I represent hundreds of people, children, municipalities, towns. I stand here today and face this issue for taking my oath as an attorney and my professional responsibility to protect this organization, which is what I've done. I care about the law. I care about how we must follow all the law, regardless of whether we like it or not, Mr. Upton. I care about the growth of our community. I'm appalled by the many acts of disregard that has been demonstrated by recently appointed members of this commission over the past 2 months, because I want it to be clear, and Mr. Carroll and Mr. Patel, you know this, we've never had any of this. And Mr. Carroll, for you to say it's toxic, where did the toxicity start? It started 2 months ago with Callis and Upton. That's when it started. Let's just call it what it is. Where does it stop? Or what extremes will they go to, you all go to gain what you believe to be power? It's truly sad. It's devastating. It's appalling. And like Mr. Lee Rubin just said, he told me who my replacement was. He said it was Lisa Lawson, because she's a Black female. He told me who it was.
Wow, it's been decided already? It's interesting.
So I stand here comfortable with the fact that I know that I have represented, like I do all my clients, with the utmost respect, regard. I know, as I told you, Mr. Carroll, I can't come in here half-stepping because I look the way I do. I know that I have to not just say it to you because you'll take it from Mr. Upton, but you need paperwork for me to show it and prove it. I deal with it on a daily basis. I've been an attorney for 22 years. I'm used to it. It's been a journey. And I want to say to each and every one of you and the 200+ people that are currently watching on UrbanCast, all the pastors, preachers, all of my colleagues have called me. My phone died yesterday from everybody calling. Pastor Green, my pastor, I love you. Thank you so much. Pastor Kirk, Pastor Chauncey, who just left, Pastor Tenney, Pastor Williams, thank you for leaving work because I know you're building that big old house out there in that neighborhood. Pastor Jackson, Pastor Edson, everybody who has called me, all the community, Cynthia, Perry, I love you. I thank you. Bobby and Byron and everybody. I can't call names, Mr. Porter, everybody. I offer and thank you to each and every one of you for coming. Mr. Green, Jules Green, coming, standing up and showing up. Jared Williams, I say thank you. Miss Candy Kristoff, thank you for your Facebook post. And let me just say this to you all, although I may be gone because they will more than likely vote, but I'm gonna be okay. God's uncommon favor on my life has been established. So I'm gonna be fine. This room is a testament of what's to come. And as someone said earlier, you don't know what you've done, you guys. You don't know what you've done. You've done. Miss Angie, I am a lawyer, and I know the law. Your worst days are behind you. And your best days are rushing to meet you. Amen. And it's not because I love you and I honor and I respect you as my executive director. It's because what I know that they were doing to you and what they're doing to you is not only unlawful, it's illegal. And the night shade you see, we'll stick to that. As sure as my name is Tiffany Nicole Sanders, born in Landstuhl, Germany on February 23rd, 1976, I promise you, you will be the executive director. I may be gone, but you will be the executive director.
Say it well.
So to everybody in this room, November 2024, let's do it.
Okay, we have, a motion on the floor with the second for item C1 on the agenda to terminate the general,
Mr.
council.
Chair,
Let's do a roll call.
As you stated, Article 5, conflict of interest of our rules and policies and procedures prevents Mr. Callis, not because he has a transactional interest, it prevents him from voting. I can read.
No, well, no, I'm very well with.
That he can't.
That's not, he can vote. That's it. I'm waiting for it.
Section 1 says whenever a
Please,
commissioner or
ma'am,
authority
please,
committee member
go through the roll
has
call.
cause to believe that a matter to be voted on would involve him or her in a conflict of interest, that commissioner or authority committee member shall announce the conflict of interest and shall recuse from both discussion and voting on such matter. Section 2, if a commissioner or authority committee has cause to question where there in fact exists a conflict of interest, he or she shall announce such possible conflict, and the question of whether or not an actual conflict exists shall be decided by a majority vote of the commissioners or authority committee members present, excluding the commissioner or authority member announcing the possible conflict of interest, excluding any other commissioner or authority committee member present who has already been disqualified from discussion or voting on the issue because of their own conflict of interest. Section 3 says it shall be the responsibility of each commissioner to be familiar with and adhere to the requirements of the Code of Governmental Ethics for the state of Louisiana, in particular, Part 2, Ethical Standards for Public Service, revised statute 42-1101, as amended from time to time. Now, if he still wants to go around and do it, but it is against our rules that you stated many times during this meeting that we abide by. It is inappropriate for him to vote and to be a part of these discussions.
Well, thank you.
His
Roll call
motion
vote,
should
please.
be invalid.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Upton,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis,
Absolutely no.
Mr. Katz,
Never.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Morgan,
No, ma'am.
Mr. Callis, as I said, you're prohibiting her voting.
Well, yes, and Ms. Callis, please vote.
It's an illegal vote and it does not count.
Carries.
Motion failed. Next item, please.
Now, that,
Motion carried.
It's a.
It's not allowed.
The next item on the agenda is just for a public discussion about the transition fee. I don't know if y'all want to have a discussion.
Not really.
We have an executive director, Ms. Angie Bernardo, already. We can go.
I mean, it's just discussion. I was just trying to get some input on it. And the next item is to go into executive session. Go into executive session, we need to vote.
Well, the first item, I don't think it qualifies for executive session.
So we're not in executive session, so that's,
Before we vote on them, saying we can just discuss that.
no, we can't. Let's have a vote. If you don't want to go into executive session, just vote no. Let's see.
It's just a letter, it's not the litigation. I'm saying we go, we want to make sure we're doing it right. So the first item, to discuss the letter, doesn't qualify for executive.
Sir, under the law,
That's not right.
litigation qualifies.
I know the law very well.
All right, can we have a vote to go into executive session, please? Roll call.
Mr. Upton,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis,
No.
Ms. Katz,
No.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Morgan,
No.
Okay, 4-3, we don't have 2/3. Ma'am, we don't have, it's 4-3, we don't have 2/3 to go into executive session. Therefore, meeting is adjourned.
Your replacement is also the lawyer for, Callis, is that true? John Callis, is that his attorney?
Well, the motion failed, so.
Oh,
Pastor Jackson, how you doing, sir?
Man, I gotta go pick this ball on the other side of town.
I hear you. I hear you.
You ain't got me on camera, because I'm off work.
You know, I'll get it next week. I'm gonna do it. Have it out.
It's just saying, they